Hey there, it's Mary Sheila, and it has been a while since I've been in my kitchen cooking. We're in the middle of the pandemic still, which is kind of frustrating, but here we are, and I wanted to just come in and say hello. It's been, like I said, it's been a while. And I thought I was just talk and share what I've been up to while I make some soup. I'm actually making some soup. Just kidding. I'm making some soup for a friend. Actually, I'm going to bring this over. A neighbor of mine who's not feeling well, and I have lots of produce in the garden. And I just made a really nice immune boosting broth, so I thought I would bring that. So I'm going to just get this party started and just share a little bit of what I've been up to. It is July, and I hope everybody's having a really good summer. It's kind of a cold, foggy Northern California weekend, so I've been inspired to get in my kitchen. And I mean, geesh, I know we've all been in our kitchens so much, so it feels kind of nice to feel inspired. But look at this, is the first year and I can't even take credit, that we've grown celery. And so I just picked a couple pieces. My daughter actually really took charge in the garden this year. She was working and, you know, like everybody, super busy. And when the pandemic hit, she, you know, went on unemployment and she wasn't working, and she had all this time on her hands. And like all of us, she had to figure out what she was going to do with her time. You know, when the pandemic hit for me, as maybe some of you know, I had to cancel a retreat that I had planned, and it was really very sad. But we're rescheduling it, so it'll still happen and there'll be space available. But the retreat was rest and digest, so we had to like really just pivot. I had to pivot in my business, and I had to really take in what it meant to rest and digest. But my daughter, back to her, just charged in the garden, which was great. She planted, you know, everything. And, you know, my husband keeps saying, well, a couple of the things she did was a rookie move. But I think that's what gardening is. You just do your best and you try. This is ghee that I made for actually on one of my virtual cooking classes. I've been doing virtual cooking classes. I did a brain health one, and I did a fermentation class, so we made this in the brain health. And I'm going to be doing one with a friend of mine on August 23rd called Nourishing Your Bones, and it's going to have yoga and cooking and then a nutrition lesson. So the first thing I'm going to do actually is just put a little ghee in the bottom of my pan, or my pot, and then I'm going to put some onions, also from my garden, that I already cut up. I'm just going to stick those in there. And then I'm going to put some of that celery. I'm just going to let this cook for a few minutes while I cut up some more stuff. These are tomatoes from the garden. I'm very proud of my garden. And I'm going to cut those up. So these are a couple Romas. Romas tend to go really nicely in a soup or in making a sauce, because they just have a nice firm texture. So one of the things that I have been up to as well this season is at the beginning of March, I was going to I signed up to study with a Dr. Terry Walls. If you don't know who she is, you should check out her TED Talk, which is called Minding Your Mitochondria. And she's a functional medicine doctor who, before she was a functional medicine doctor, she got diagnosed with MS, and she went as far as to be in a wheelchair, and then started using nutrition and self-care and calming her nervous system, getting into rest and digest on a regular basis, and she healed her. Well, she put her MS somewhat in remission. So I met up with her in March, and I signed up to study with her. And I was actually really excited because I was going to go to Iowa in the summertime, like soon. I would have gone in the last couple weeks. And of course, she ended up doing it as a virtual class. So This is actually my first Sunday that I'm not on the phone with Terry for 2.5 hours studying with her and her group. And so here I am on my, doing my own thing. It's been really amazing, and I've learned a lot. And so hopefully in the next few weeks when I take my final exam, I will become a WALS certified practitioner. And I'm really excited about that because the focus with that certification is on autoimmunity, which I think is a really important thing for me as a nutritionist to really understand and go understand in a very deep way so that I can help people, because a lot of people have autoimmunity. And FYI, these are potatoes, also from the garden. Whoop, whoop. I'm going to put a couple potatoes in. So right now I just have ghee and some onion and celery. I did throw 1/2 the tomato in, but I'm going to save the rest in my jar, in my bowl for a second. I'm just making a garden soup. And it's funny because the other day I was talking to my friend Kate Hanley. She lives on the East Coast, and she has a podcast, and I'm going to be a guest on her podcast. And one of her last questions was, what's your favorite food, like your go-to food? And it's summertime, but it was a cold summer day, and I was like, soup? So I made a really nice soup that day, and I have all this broth, so I'm going to make more. I just wanted to show you this. Isn't that beautiful? I actually don't know what this is called, but this is a beautiful gourmet mushroom grown locally in Sebastopol. And I got a nice big bag of them, so I've been playing with the mushrooms. And I actually cooked these down last night, a bunch of them, and I'm going to add them to the soup now. I'm probably going to chop them up a little bit more. They kind of take a while to cut, so I just decided to cook them last night, thinking about the soup. So I'm just going for it, and I'll put these in there too. And I have some red lentils, red split lentils that you can make a dal with. Thinking about dal is just, using dal is, for me, like very healing. Khichdi and dal, those are very healing foods for when people are sick, so that's why I soaked some dal. I'll show you what that looks like in a little bit. But these are the mushrooms I pre-cooked last night. I'm just going to pile them in there and keep stirring. And here's, hold on, I gotta get the dal. Here's the dal, and or the red lentils, the split red lentils, and they cook really quick. So this is going to be a nice quick soup. I also have some zucchini, which I'm excited about. Oh yeah, and carrot. I was just going to put, look at this carrot. Isn't that cool? Also from the garden. Hey, it's walking down the street. I love garden produce. We had a really good carrot harvest as well this year, which was kind of fun. We're at the point now, it's the end of July, it's the middle of July, and I know it's time to start planting all the fall and winter crops. So I just got some seeds, and I'm trying to stay on that. My friend Phyllis, who lives out at Star Mountain, whenever I see her posting what she's planting, I know I need to get busy because she is my green thumb friend. And I did another video with her where we I pickled her cucumbers, and she taught how to grow cucumbers like a really good way. So you could check that out. It's on my YouTube channel too. But what I was going to say is, well, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to add a little salt and to this little veggie medley, and some cumin seeds, okay? So they're going to kind of toast, and a little bit of curry powder, right? So I'm trying to think anti-inflammatory right now, so I'm just going to add a little bit of those guys in there. smell it now. And the first moisture I'm gonna add to that is just my tomatoes. That's gonna add some nice water. But what I wanted to tell you about today too is something that I'm working on that I've been doing that has been super fun. And you've probably seen my emails or whatever, but this year I started a Vitality Club, and I started it in January, and very softly, where we were getting together and meeting at the Deanna Center, and then I also would send out a class on a certain topic that I would create online, you know, for my people who are far away. And then what I started to do, so I created this club, the Vitality Club. And in the Vitality Club, I teach on a certain topic every month that's really relevant. So like, for example, this month is all about digestive health. And it's really, you know, I teach a whole class on it. And then I have a live Q&A, which is actually, it's always the third Monday of the month. So I have one coming up tomorrow. And I teach a live class, and I allow everybody comes together, and we do a little bit of stuff in community, and then it's just a time for questions and answers. And I just love the questions that people ask and the way that they're thinking, and the community coming together and sharing. And it's like, it's all about vitality. It's all about just standing in how you can be the most vital. And you know, I've learned, you know, I just said I've been training with Dr. Walls for the last 3 months, since April, the beginning of April. And gosh, when you have a mentor, it's amazing. I have leveled my healthcare and self-care and nutrition so much in the last few months as a result of having a mentor that is passionate and compassionate about, you know, how to stay vital and how to have how to have resilience, right? In this time, this is a challenging time, so it's really critical to have that resilience. So it's been really fun, and it's a lower cost offer, so that, you know, it's not as cost prohibitive, because I know we're in interesting times. So I just want to invite you, there's a link below where you can check out and learn more about the Vitality Club. But it's really been awesome, and I'm loving it. So, and I know a lot of the people that are in it are really loving it too. We're having a lot of fun. So this is zucchini, and raise your hand if you have zucchinis coming out of your ears. I know a lot of us do. I do. My daughter planted a lot of zucchini. I know my sister does too. Anyway, I'm throwing the garlic, and I'm throwing the zucchini in there, and then I'm gonna throw the beans and the broth, and I'm just gonna let this thing simmer until it's ready to go. Pretty simple, full of veggies, and all these veggies have a lot of phytonutrients that are gonna boost and support the immune system, and also a lot of fiber that's gonna support the microbiome, because, you know, the microbiome plays such a huge role in our immune function. Like, I don't know if you know this, but the microbiome, so all the bacteria in the gut, right, which weighs about 3.5 pounds, and your brain weighs 3.5 pounds, educates, your microbiome, your bacteria actually educate your immune system. So when we're born, we don't have a whole lot, and we slowly build our microbiome, and then the microbiome educates the immune system. It's pretty fantastic. Okay, I'm gonna use all of this. I wasn't sure how much I was gonna use. So it probably would have been really smart if I would have warmed up my broth, but I didn't. It's cold, or room temperature, so I'm just gonna pour my broth in there. And I'm gonna actually use all of it. I love making a good broth. It's so healing. It's also a great way to boost the immune system. So now I've got this epic tons of veggies from the garden. I've got these red lentils, and this is what they look like if you get them in the store. And it's probably only going to take about a half an hour for all the veggies to get kind of nice and soft and cooked. And then I will have a beautiful soup. And at the end, I'm going to actually put a little bit of chard in there. So my chard, just to show you a real easy way, so got a few little critters out there, right? I'm just going to pull it right off the stem. I could totally use the stem, but I'm going to use a little less stem, just because I like it that way. And once I have it all cooked too, I'll salt it to taste. But one of the other things I wanted to just say is, you know, in my work, I'm constantly talking to people and, you know, leading different groups of mindful eating and my Vitality Club and meeting with clients. And I know that a lot of us are pretty fatigued about this time. We've been through a lot collectively with, you know, facing racial injustice and dealing with the pandemic and the toxicity of politics. And, you know, this is a moment, I believe, to, you know, and we're like at home with ourselves all the time, right? And it can be a lot of things. It can be hard to be with ourselves more and not within our community. Right now we would be out doing a lot more socializing and seeing a lot more of our people and, you know, really having that dynamic happening, and we're having less of it. I know I am. And but this is a moment, I believe, of just, you know, tapping into our resilience. And in tapping into our resilience, it means we have to really put into place, keep putting into place our self-care practices, our nutrition, our ability to feel grateful, or to recognize what we're grateful for and to claim those things, and to nourish ourselves in whatever ways that is. And that's, you know, likely getting out in nature, and it's also about just being good to ourselves, being good to our body, and allowing healing. And, you know, one thing that I have noticed with some of my clients is that, you know, that because they're home more and they're more in control of their food, because they're not going out to eat as much, that they're finding greater health and less triggering of their immune system. And it also might mean less triggering because of all the people that they're interacting with. So resilience is kind of building that buffer, and so that when we're ready to go back out, right? Because we're going to be going back out. You know, we're not going to stay. This is not a forever thing, but it is definitely a moment in time. So I'm kind of rambling, but I'm just really grateful to be back in my kitchen with you all, and sharing. And yeah, and I'm here if you need me. I'm your Vitality ally, so I'd love for you to check out the Vitality Club. It really is something, it's, you know, the main thing that I'm offering right now, and I'm really passionate about it, and I'm really putting a lot into it, and teaching in a way that I hope is really relevant, and also really exactly what people need right now, you know, touching in on the pulse, and giving you things that, you know, you can take and run with. Because it's such a multi-pronged approach. And again, like I said, you know, sometimes, well, I didn't say this yet, but sometimes people will say to me, gosh, what was it that I did that changed this? And it's like, I always have to say, it's not just one thing. It's everything that we're doing. It's everything that you do. It's getting to sleep at a good time. It's, you know, eating good, nutritious food. It's finding time for self-care to calm your mind. It's making sure you don't forget that your breath is your ally. And it's also about cherishing and honoring and just nurturing the relationships that feed you in a way that really work. You know, it's about making sure you're getting the right nutrients and water, right? and exercise. It's like this whole big package, and that's really what, you know, what I strive to support people in, finding those pieces. And I know maybe not everybody needs that, but wow, what a difference it is to like commit to that and to step into that. So that's just what I wanted to say today. And I will say again, I do have you know, next month's Vitality Club is, I'm going to really actually dive more into Ayurveda and just the understandings and the learning. But one of the goals in that topic is also to like teach you about the deeper needs and the nutrients that we need at a deeper level. And when you kind of have that understanding of which nutrients, you know, might be harder to get, but you need to, but we need them at this deeper level, like maybe the fat soluble vitamins and some of the minerals, and you know how nutrition flows through the body to the deepest level. Like when you think about your bones, right? What's at the center of your bones is your bone marrow. Well, what does your bone marrow do? It's building immunity. It builds immune cells. So it's all really connected, and so we need to make sure the foods we're eating are able to get to that deep level. And beyond the bones is our nerves and our hormones, right? So if we need to build this deep immunity, it's good to understand the flow of nutrients through the body. And I like to do that through the Ayurvedic lens to give you that insight. So I got my soup going. It's going to be ready soon in a few minutes, probably right before when my beans are done. I'll taste it, I'll salt it if I need more salt, and then I will throw in my Swiss chard at the end, because that is, it doesn't need to cook as long. So I have mushroom, onion, zucchini, potato, carrot, and probably some other things in there too. And I also have a little bit of basil that I will actually also chop up for the very end. But otherwise, I will leave you at that, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend and a great week. And I'm just grateful that you're a part of my community and I get to share with you. Ciao.